Greetings viewers, this is Mancho Maverick coming at you with another review video. Today we'll be reviewing and discussing the Zoids high-end master model RZ028 Blade Liger AB from Kotobukiya. The Blade Liger has been heavily used in a couple of Zoids anime series, most notably the Zoids Chaos Century and the predecessor Zoids Guardian Force, or Season 2 of Zoids Chaos Century. The Blade Liger was also used in Zoid's New Century, but had a different role in that series. In Zoid's Chaos Century, the Blade Liger was piloted by the protagonist of the series, Van Flyweight. The thing is, it wasn't really just placed in his lap. You see, in the series, Van Flyweight originally piloted a Shield Liger. While doing a battle with his arch-rival Raven and Raven's Genosaur, the Shield Liger was heavily damaged and could not be repaired. Instead, however, Van's organoid, Zeke, decided to actually insert itself inside the Shield Liger along with Van's friend / love interest, who is also an organoid in a way, Fiona. So both of them was inside the Shield Liger, and the Shield Liger was cased inside a crystal cocoon. During the time, I would say roughly several days. And during that evolution series, the Shield Liger, if I can talk, has evolved into the Blade Liger. Now, Blade Liger was actually dubbed by Dr. D, another character in the series, mostly based because of the blades that's attached to the waist size of the Blade Liger. Now, Blade Liger has basically everything that the Shield Liger has and more. It still has its shield unit around his face, so that stayed. Along with the blades, it also has a cannon on the underneath side of the Blade Liger, a pulse laser gun to be exact, a laser saber or laser blade, basically the blades that I mentioned. His 4 strike claws, basically all 4 of his paws. And the AZ double barrel shot cannon, which I will get into momentarily. Since Van piloted the Blade Liger, that was his main Zoid throughout the entire series. The Blade Liger did not go through another evolution change. He stayed with Van throughout the remainder of Zoid's Chaos Century and the predecessor / Season 2 Zoid's Guardian Force. Now that was Zoid's Chaos Century. In Zoid's New Century, the Blade Liger had a different role. It was actually piloted by a side character by Leon Toros. Leon Toros was the son of the manager or owner of the Blitz team, Dr. Steve Toros. Now, Leon Toros was only in the first couple episodes, decided to stay away from the Blitz team to find his own calling. And during his travels, he has found the Blade Liger. And it's actually kind of symbolic in a way. Originally, Leon Toros' Zoid was the Shield Liger. But the difference between the New Century and Chaos Century, Leon Toros' Shield Liger did not go through an evolution. It just was heavily damaged and had to be abandoned. And during his travels, he found a Blade Liger. But in this case, the Blade Liger he picked was not blue, it was red. Whereas the Shield Liger he piloted, which also symbolically enough, was the same color that Van Flyweight piloted in Chaos Century, blue. And Van's Blade Liger in the series was blue as well, due to the evolution. But those are mostly the main parts, I would say, that Blade Liger had in those two series. There's another one that not many fans would like to talk about, and that is Zoid's Fusors. The Blade Liger was shown in that series, however, it was not piloted by main character. It was mostly used by different teams or different temporary characters on the series. It wasn't anything too exotic, it wasn't anything mainstream. So it did not take as serious compared to the previous series that I just mentioned. Now in this case, the Blade Liger AB, or Attack Booster Unit, really, it's a little bit different. Excuse me. It has attached attack boosters that can help the Blade Liger reach speeds of 350 kilometers an hour. And also, it has an extra pulse laser guns attached to the AB unit, or I may use ion booster during this review. But with all that being said, that's the history of the Blade Liger in media, along with the correlation to that of the manga series. But of the history of the Blade Liger, let's take a look at the box, shall we? So you see here, it has a really nice image here, and really nice attack print. You can see in the back, you see the Death Stinger, most notably shown in Gunning Force or Season 2 of Zoid's Chaos Century. In the back here, you have the Geno Breaker, which is the evolved form, you can say, of the Genosaur, just like how the Shield Liger evolves into the Blade Liger. For similar reasons that I mentioned as to how the Blade Liger evolved from the Shield Liger. Same thing, the same way the Genosaur was in a crystal cocoon biogonoid and evolved into the Geno Breaker. But with that all being said, get a closer look. You can see the Death Stinger shooting its charged particle cannon from its tail. Definitely a nice image. And then, by the way, with everything I mentioned, I highly recommend you watch Zoid's Chaos Century. Is my favorite Zoid series above New Century. New Century was great because it introduced the Liger Zero, but I believe the Chaos Century series actually had a much better story. But if you get here, you get a nice little art image of the Blade Liger with his AB booster unit. Same image as the front. Zoid model 016 over here. And a couple of different images. You have the AB unit. You can use it. You can use it for different things, which I will show momentarily. A nice side, front view, back view. The blades here. I do want to add though, this unit does not come with the Van, Flyhide, or Fiona figurines. If you were to purchase the first Blade Liger that came out, that Kotobuki had made, that one came with both of those figurines, along with Zeke. The issue with those right now is that if in case you were to purchase them right now, you'd be spending extra hundreds of dollars. Whereas when they first came out, it was less than 100 easy. But fortunately, after the first wave, every wave that came afterwards, they just give generic pilots of Zoids model kits, which I know I mentioned many times during previous reviews of other kits. Unfortunate, but it's true. And nice little front view of the Blade Liger. Now inside the box, it does come with a nice instruction manual. Take a look. Of course, a sheet in case you are missing any parts. Some story details. Some schematics, and also what shows with the kit. I always like some of these blueprint. They just separate the pieces of the kit or the Zoid itself. Separate itself. In this case, it shows you the blades, the AZ double barrel shot cannon, the body. I enjoy whenever they separate those to give a much more detailed blueprint of those set pieces. And you can see here you have all the runners that came with the kit. I think it went all the way through Y, which putting all this together, it really did amaze me. But I will actually show you what happened whenever I put this together. And of course, it starts with the head. Continue on with the body, the blades, the weapons, the AB units, along with the front and back legs. And I actually enjoyed this page because it just shows you everything you can do with the Zoid once it's finally put all together, what you can do, movability, what you can, how you want to pose it. Well, brain fart there. Yeah, so how you can pose it by moving certain pieces, the AB unit, the blades, the tail, legs, everything. And here you have a color palette of what you can use in case you want to add an extra layer if you put this kit together. And continue on with this page. And of course, this shows you how to put all the water slides or decals on the kit. And a couple of different poses. Shows the weapons, the AB unit, and of course the blade attached to them. That's it for the instruction manual. Now, onto the kit. And here we have the Blade Liger. Now, as you can see, I did not add the AB unit, and I will add that in a minute, because I actually want to show all of you one part about this kit. But until then, just want to show you just exactly how this looks fully put together. You can see that it actually looks pretty good. It's quite proportioned, everything, the legs, the blades aren't too big, the head is the proper size, which I'm so thankful for, because back when the Blade Liger came out during the Hasbro Zoids customized mobilized line, the head was incredibly large for the sake of the kit. And granted, though, those line was all about just smarterized units, but still I was just not too pleased by it. But in this case, it works out. Everything just is the right size for this kit. The color also, I really do enjoy the color. I would say it's a standard blue. It's not too dark, not too light. I would say it's a couple of tints darker than sky blue in my personal opinion. Definitely not like cobalt or even navy blue. Definitely not that dark. But it definitely works out the best. And this actually gives you a good idea of, in case you have not seen Zoid's Color Century, this is exactly the exact same color how it was in the show, to give you a proper idea. But yes, it looks so well with this kit. The one thing I do want to add is I did some custom painting on this for the toes of the claws and the blades, along with the teeth. I paint all that gold. I actually forgot to paint the pistons here, which I think would be a lot better if I did that. But the color that came with it was that plasticky gold beige color that I just thought it just looked way too tacky for this kit. So I just decided to paint all that, and I'm so thankful I did. It definitely makes this kit stand a little bit more. And I even believe that with other types of customization, this kit would just stand out even properly. This kit also has some areas of panel lining. I did notice a few on the tail. Fortunately, I did have some bad luck with using some blue outline or blue panel lining. So I would definitely not do that again. But I would say maybe even black will look good. I have not tested this out because some of that stuff can be hard to get rid of if not too careful. So I like the way how this looks currently. So because I want to change anything, I definitely will. But with all that being said, I cannot deny the fact that this kit looks actually incredibly well all put together. Now I want to show you some articulation for this kit. So to start off with, the head can go up and down, side swivel, side swivel. The, I wouldn't say ears, the ears are right here, but something must have came loose, but, oh, the head just came off. Sorry about that, but I'm actually kind of thankful it did happen, because I actually want to pause the articulation for a moment to show you one thing about this kit that did not really surprise me too much, because I get it. So, because originally the Blade Liger evolved from the Shield Liger, it's similar to how the kits are as well. The Shield Liger and Blade Liger kits has a lot of many different similar parts. So whenever this kit is being processed, you actually get a lot of extra parts that's meant for the Shield Liger in all these runners. So you may get some extra pieces, something like this. Yes, majority of these came from Blade Liger, but there's a good chance these are from the Shield Liger kit. You get a huge assortment of caps, a lot more than you actually need for this kit. To my surprise, in a way, you actually get the visors for the Shield Liger. Yeah, these are the Shield Liger visors. You get both the orange and the clear one, which many of the source kits from Code Boogie actually comes with two different visors, orange and clear. So you get all these extra pieces that I have yet to even look at the Shield Liger instruction manual to see where they go. But yeah, you get all these extra pieces. Now, the reason why I say I'm glad that the head came off is because there's a polycap inside that actually cracked. Luckily for me though, this kit actually came with some extra parts. Now, whether these are for the Shield Liger, I am not too sure, but I'm so thankful it did, because luckily I had one extra polycap part for a connection piece in the neck. That luckily was not cracked, so I was able to use it. So yes, I'm so very thankful that this kit actually came with a bunch of different extra runners of pieces that I have no idea what I'm going to use for, but hey, at least it did came. Oh, and one thing I neglected to mention earlier is that here is the water slides or decals of this kit. Now then, to continue the articulation. So as I was showing all of you, these pieces do move slightly like so, along with the front, say, whiskers of the kit. The visor does go up and down. And this is actually one of the very few kits that you can actually put two pilots inside of the same cockpit. So if you can see there where my finger is at, there's one in the back and one in the front. So in this case, in case you have the Fiona and Van Fly-High figurines, most notably the Fiona would be in the back, Van Fly-High would be out the front. The mouth does move. And if you were to go underneath, right there, underneath the head, you can actually get my finger down there. There we go. There's a flap there, and there's a flap on top. This is basically the new version of the shield, as I mentioned before, an updated shield that's most notably for the Shield Liger, but the Blade Liger can use as well. And you actually open these up in order to create that energy shield. So that aside, the front legs do have a swivel, go back and forth like so. It can go all the way up, all the way down. You move all around, trying to move too much or else it will actually come out. There we go. Can move the front leg forward, even a little bit back too. The feet can move back as well. The toes are actually individual, so you can actually create some different poses with just the toes themselves, if you wish. Which is, I will say that I do like this a lot more than the Liger Zero reviews I've had. Whereas those toes are not individual, these are, so definitely do enjoy that. Same thing with the back leg, you can move all around. Has that nice little swivel. And of course it has different positions as well. Front and back, the hind leg, forward and back as well. Same thing with the ankle. Go up and down, swivel a little bit, and the toes are also individually movable. Just move that, there we go. The tail has some different points as well. One there, one there, one there. Unfortunately, these are just 360 swivels. There are no bend points like it was on Liger Zero, so I would say the Liger Zero tail is definitely a lot better in terms of posing and articulating. Also on the legs, you also have these I would say these bursters, so to speak, in case you're trying to discharge any exceeding heat coming from the Zoid. So what you do is to move these out like so. And then of course it can go on, all four legs can do this. And second to last, you have these attack boosters, and did not mean to take that off. Can actually move that up, and then move that. I can't remember these. Okay, these do not extend. It just goes up to that point. So to increase the speed of Blade Liger. And last but not least, and I do this just in case they won't get in the way. But of course the blades. And I would say the way how these positioned are little, I would say they're not similar to the way how the stabilizers in Liger Zero or the Blade Liger, not Blade Liger, Liger Zero Schneider, a little bit different. They have pistons on each side, which I actually do like. It definitely does make this kit stand out a little bit. And the blades can go front, they can go back. And don't know if these can extend. Guess yes, they can. They can stand like so, and just need to push that back. I will say that it was a little bit tight because, of course, like I said, I did paint the blades, and so these are just a little bit tight. So I don't know if they would be just as tight if you did not paint the blades. So you can raise these up, position them however you like. And that's about it for articulation. Now I'll take this time to show you my least favorite part about this kit. As great as it looks, and as great as the articulation can be, there is one thing I do not like. So as you can So as I mentioned before, this is the AB unit. Now I took one of the blades off to show you exactly what is the issue with this kit. So inside this piece right here, the connection piece goes here for the blade. You can see here there's a poly cap. Now this is the exact same one inside the other one. So the issue with that is this needs to go inside this piece here that's inside the AB unit. And the reason why that piece needs to go inside here is because that's where the blade needs to go. Now, the issue is that this kit only comes with these two specific polycaps, which means that you can either have these pieces where the blades will go if you just want the Blade Liger as is, or what you need to do is remove those pieces, add them to this piece here for the AB units, and then put the blades through there. But then these pieces, this piece, will not have that polycap. In other words, you can have one or the other, you cannot have both. Now this kit would have came with 4 of these, then yes, you can interchange them without pulling them apart. So you can take the polycap out, put it into a different piece, that way the blades can hold properly. I actually think that was kind of lazy in the manufacturing of this kit. I still don't understand why they couldn't just create 2 extra polycaps. I'm sure the cost will not be that much. Granted, I'm not too familiar with the process is of that along those lines, but all I'm saying is 2 extra polycaps, 2 extra PC pieces, and that way you can just interchange the blades to 2 different connection pieces without needing to pull them apart. That's just me. Is it the biggest issue? Not necessarily. Is it annoying? Yeah, it is. But yeah, that's definitely my least favorite part about this kit. Now to show you all, here's the piece, and here's that PC polycap piece that was inside. There. You move that, grab this piece of the AB unit, put that in there. Then you get the other piece, you close it up. Then the other piece over here. Close this up. And then that's where you can put a blade in there, so now it's snug. AB unit there. And to show you some articulation of the AB units, naturally, this move accordingly. And these open, so these can extend out. There's just some boosters to increase the speed of the Blade Liger. And if you were to move these forward, you can actually pull this back, extend this, move that up, so that way you can close it and you get some extra gunfire. Then you push that down, cover that up, and there you go. And here we have the Blade Liger with this AB unit. Now I realized when I was showing all you how the blade is actually incorporated into the AB unit, I used the wrong blade. Apparently it's the blade from the other side. But in any case, though, this is exactly how it's supposed to look. And I must admit, I thought the AB unit just seems a little bit big on this, but the more from pictures I've seen and how it was shown, I think this is actually quite accurate how it was supposed to be. Still though, I still dislike the hassle of you can have the AB unit attached or not attached, and there's only one piece and two PC plastic pieces or polycarbonate pieces they can use. Yeah, not the biggest fan of that, but I mean, I think I'll just keep it the way how this is, so that way I don't need to always open those pieces again, just so I can take that one piece out. Yeah, just a pain in the butt. But with that being said, though, I cannot deny that this actually does look pretty good with the AB unit. Naturally, it really shows that the Blade Liger needs that extra boost in speed, some extra firepower. As I was reading some research on the Blade Liger, especially in the media in the series that I mentioned earlier, this actually gave the Blade Liger an equal footing against the Geno Breaker. Whereas, but prior to this, it was easily defeated. So, yeah, this actually did help. It makes me wonder that if they were to incorporate this in Zoid's New Century, would they do a little bit differently with the Leon Toros fight with Big Cloud? If he would have had the AB unit attached to his Blade Liger, would it be a different story if he would have defeated, or maybe it would be a tie with the Liger's Nero Schneider piloted by Big Cloud? Who knows? But with all that, fiction and whatnot, I must admit, again, this actually looks pretty darn cool. And now for some side-by-side comparisons. Here's the Blade Liger with the high-end master model, Lightning Sykes. And of course, in case you're interested, please check out my channel where I actually reviewed the Lightning Sykes. So definitely much more bulkier, a little bit taller, even a little bit longer due to his tail. But then of course we're comparing a lion with a cheetah. And here we have the Master Grade Shin Musha Gundam. Now, the purpose of me comparing these two is to give you a good idea of, in terms of length, if you will. So definitely the Blade Liger is longer just by the tail. But another reason why I'm going to compare this, because for those of you who have built Gunpla, and most master grades are roughly the same, maybe off by a few centimeters here and there. It gives you a good idea, exactly in case you want to get into Zoids, of the in terms of difference in size of a, I wouldn't say this is a standard kit, not by a long shot, but I would say matched up that of a master grade Gunpla figurine. And lastly, side by side with Liger Zero Schneider. So I think due to the Schneider's main blade, this is still just a tad taller. But if we were to put it side by side, I actually would say that their length is actually quite equal. Yeah, the tail definitely hit at the end. I would say perhaps the Blade Liger's head is just slightly bigger than that of the Liger Zero Schneider. But in terms of blade of which one is bigger, just move that forward. Move these out. I think the Schneider beat the Blade Liger in terms of blade length. Yep, there's just a competition between two cats to see which blade is bigger and longer. Take that as you will. And that's it for side-by-side comparisons. Another reason that I wasn't too fond of the AB units because something like this, I think if you want to do like a blade attack such as this pose, I feel like the AB unit just looks kind of a little bit silly. That's my personal opinion, of course. One other thing that I've noticed about this kit while doing this video is that it has no port for an action base, which is quite actually a little bit sad. Only because I feel like this kit will actually look really good in a bunch of aerial poses, especially for a air blade attack, or even using his claws for like a pounce, or even that of shooting out of a gravity gun from an Articulation. Hint of the Zoids Guardian Force series that I mentioned a few times already in this video. But yeah, it's a shame that I won't be posting this for any area poses unless, of course, I can get a certain action base for this, or at least find a certain connection port or a piece for the action bases that I do have. But until then, it will be mostly some ground poses. And now for the my favorite part of the kit, the full bottom line review, the good, the bad, and everything else in between. The good. This kit is well proportioned, that much I'll give it. The legs, the blades, the head, the body, everything just looks well with this kit. I don't feel like anything was bigger than it needs to be. Even though I did mention about the AB unit, I just feel like the more I think about that, I think it is quite proportioned, so I gotta give it that. The build itself was really fun. I did enjoy the build for the most part, and I'll get to that in a minute. There's a lot of different areas for articulation. The legs, the head, even the weapons. There is so many different possibilities, so many different poses that you can put this kit in. So I gotta give it that. The color scheme is pretty good as well. Like I said, the blue did match well than what it was shown in media, and I'm glad they picked this blue to do it. A little bit darker than shade blue. A little bit darker than sky blue. Not as dark as cobalt blue, I would say, but definitely does work well. Definitely just everything in general. The weapons look nice as well. The aesthetic, all that is good. Now for the bad, and there are a few points. For starters, the bad was the polycap issue that I mentioned earlier. It's just a pain in the butt to take a couple pieces off to remove a polycap or PC piece. That way you can add on the AB units. So I think that was a little bit of a pain. As some of you have seen earlier, that the head did come off. Well, that is another big issue with this kit, at least for me, is that there were some pieces that were falling. Even when preparing the poses for this video, the blades, not with the blades, but the side stabilizer with the blades are attached, actually did come off a couple times. So don't know if this kit is 100% stable, which is quite unfortunate because the Blade Liger was definitely a favorite of mine for many other fans as well. Now going along with that, yes, the build as a whole was fun. However, during the build, there was a couple of pieces. One was in the middle of the waist for the lower waist specifically. Another piece was pieces that attach the hind legs to the back waist. There's actually a piece in there that connects the legs to it. The pieces I just mentioned kept on falling off. It would not hold still. Now granted, this is not the piece that actually made the legs move. It was a different piece that attached to that. These kept on falling off. I could not let this kit stand on his 4 legs at all. Luckily for me though, I add some super glue so those pieces stay still, the legs can still move, so I'm happy with that as well. Same thing goes with the back waist. The back portion of the body, the back waist, it kept on falling off as well. So I just add some glue. It did not cause any rift with this articulation, so I am thankful for that. But those were the biggest points of the bad of this kit. Another, which I want to say is necessarily a bad thing, it's more of a preference. The gold that comes with this kit, I'm not too fond of. I highly recommend you paint over like how I did. Granted, I did forget to paint over the pistons here in both legs, so I kind of wish I took the extra time for that. But other than that, everything else is pretty accurate. I wouldn't say this is a con per se or a bad thing about this kit. It just comes with the territory. I do my very best, and there is a video of showing you how I build these kits. I don't just cut the pieces out of runners. What I do is I get some very light sandpaper or even like a very semi-smooth nail file even, or some sort of file piece, something along these lines. I smooth out the nut marks, and I smooth it with a buffer to make sure it doesn't stand out too much. The issue with that though, and in case it is shown in this kit actually, you can see a nut mark there. I can see a nut mark in that back piece there. There was another one on the front part of the front leg, couple areas in the head. So yeah, that is a little bit of a bummer in my opinion. It's kind of hard to hide the nut marks unless of course I paint over it. So yeah, just be watchful of that. Nut marks can be quite visible. Now with all that said and done, is this a kit worth getting? Because of the issues I had with building it, yes, the build as a whole was fun, but some pieces just kept on falling off. I can't say 100% for certain. What I can say is Gotobukiya did actually re-release this kit again in a Mart Plus version, basically the second edition of this kit. So I'm hoping all that has been fixed. I have no idea about the current Blade Liger AB unit, so I can't say for certain. At the same time though, this was just my experience. It could be different for someone else. So if you are willing to handle all that, handle all those sacrifices that I just mentioned, then yeah, pick this kit up, especially if you're a big fan of Zoid's Chaos Century. They definitely made the Blade Liger shine. But if you can, and if you're willing to spend an extra, politely, few dollars, try to get one with the Van Vlyheid and Fiona figurines. Yes, they're very minor, but it definitely makes this kit stand out in case those figurines are used. But yes, that's my full solid review, my final verdict for this kit. Thank you all for joining me in this review for the Blade Liger AB unit. It was quite fun. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time, so I'm so thankful that I finally got around to taking care of it. The Blade Liger was definitely one of my favorite Zoids in the Chaos Century. Of course, the Liger Zero will still be my top favorite, but I can't deny that the Blade Liger actually holds a certain part in my heart, so I definitely can't deny that. But with all that said and done, like I said, in case you all want to pick this up, just expect everything that I just mentioned, especially some extra parts, as you can see here, courtesy of the Blade Liger and Shin Liger have many similar parts, so just expect that. But just like I mentioned before, since the head did come off, and luckily I had that extra polycap piece, that did help, so you do have your benefits. But again, with all that With all that said and done, thank you again all for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Definitely videos will be coming hopefully in a short amount of time. Take a look here. You will see actually two videos here. One paid from me, one paid from YouTube. If you look below, you also see a link to my Monotone Maverick Instagram and Reddit page. If you have any discussions, please share them on Reddit. And in case you want to see any pictures that I've shown, especially from this video and other reviews of other videos I've done before, please take a look at my profile. And of course, take a look at other videos I have in store. Many I've already mentioned in this review alone, and many that you may want to take a look in case you're interested. So with all that said and done, thank you again. And with that, and last but not least, keep on building.